Welcome to the Daily Exchange. Here we are again, guys, and we're talking about, are all ICOs a security? Is Ethereum a security? Is Ripple a security? Let's talk about it today. We've got a great guest coming up with Holly Stephenson coming on. We'll see you guys after this. Welcome back, guys. Now, let's talk about a few things. I want to talk about the last 3 months with coins. Really interesting times going on. So we've done a little bit of analysis here on CoinMarketCap, and lo and behold, we've got some interesting things. So if you were to buy coins 3 months ago, look at Bitcoin. We're down 19%. Ethereum's down 13%, Ripple down 18%, Bitcoin Cash up 11%, and EOS up 124%. Litecoin down, Cardano down, Stellar down, IOTA down, and Tron up 63%. This is really interesting to me because if you look at all these different coins and their movements over the last 3 months, so winding back, what's that? Say you're buying on March the 6th, you got April, May, June. March was a kind of a weird time to buy coins, right? But right then, if you were to buy EOS or Tron, you'd probably be doing better. What does this say? Well, Tron and EOS are both coming out with their main nets. So is there a correlation? This is not financial advice, guys. This is just my opinion, but is there a correlation between mainnet launches and coin prices? You guys be the judge. Cardano hasn't launched, right? So is Cardano, and when it's potentially 3 months out for its mainnet launch, is that potentially a good buy? Not sure. Could be. Same with IOTA. Could be really interesting. Obviously, Ripple's never going to launch a mainnet, but just wanted to point this out, and I think it's a really interesting trend. Could be a trading strategy for you guys. Check it out. All right, guys, moving on. Some interesting news today happened that it's been announced by Fidelity that they are building a cryptocurrency exchange. Now, Fidelity traditionally has been a very crypto-friendly institution. Again, building an exchange. Fascinating. Good stuff. Moving right on. I want to talk about some latest news as well with Coinbase. Coinbase are leading the charge. They're officially launched. If you switch to my screen, Joel, Coinbase are talking about listing an SEC regulated cryptocurrency exchange. They're recently acquired a couple of businesses, Keystone Capital, Venovate Marketplace, and Digital Wealth. Really interesting. Obviously, these guys are just crushing it right now. We can envision a world where we may even work with regulators to tokenize existing types of securities, bringing to this space the benefits of cryptocurrency-based markets like 24/7 trading. Who loves 24/7 trading? I do. Everyone else does. Settlement and those kind of things. Like, I tried to move some stock off market from one, I was buying some shares and I was moving them off market. It took me 4 weeks. I had to fill out an actual piece of paper. It was literally just like, it was driving me absolutely bonkers. I don't even understand why that was necessary. Like on these exchanges, I can't wait until you can send some stock, send a security to someone instantaneously like that, just like with the blockchain. All right, that's really interesting to me. Moving on, I want to talk about the terminology of the day, explain that term. And the term is a really interesting term right now, and it's going around and it's a part of this show. The term that we're going to talk about is, what is a security? What is a security? My friend Michael P, he goes by, he's sent this across to me. I'm not exactly sure where this is written from, but here is the basic definition. If you switch to my screen, Joel, I'm going to read something out. Now, everyone's talking about this security thing. What exactly is it? Let's walk through this. Okay, first thing is, it says, blah, 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 any financial instrument. so anything to do with money, whether representing a shareholding in an entity or a debt owed by that entity. Okay, so let's break that down. A shareholding, so some shares, a debt, that's interesting, or some other bundle of rights in relation to that company. A bundle of rights. That's an interesting word. What is a bundle of rights? Could be a few different things. Now, this is the most important part, and we'll come back to that bundle of rights, which is transferable by the right holder for which a market price or value can be readily acquired. I think that's fine with cryptocurrencies and ICOs and different utility tokens, which is commonly traded and which it was created by its issuer to raise capital from its investors. That definitely sounds like an ICO, that one. By selling instruments of identical transferable units, in other words, fungible tokens or units to those investors. Now, it doesn't say in the Bitcoin white paper that it is has anything to do with the word investment. It doesn't say the word investment in any single line in that entire document. But let's go back. So let's try an ICO. Is an ICO, say a utility token, is it a security? Well, it's potentially a financial instrument. Is it representing a shareholding in an entity? Well, if it does, then yes, that's a security. If it doesn't, with a utility token, no. Is it a debt? No. Some other bundle of rights in relation to that company. So that's a real tough one. Like, do frequent flyer points, are they a security token because they give you a bundle of rights to fly on the plane? I don't know. Does an ICO give you a bundle of rights to use, with Funfair, for example, to play their casino? I'm not sure. Are casino chips financial instruments? This is a really, really tough one in my books. Not exactly sure what the end result is here, but you could pretty much say that anything is a security if some of those things are. I'm going to lean towards the SEC. I don't think that traditionally would go after those kind of things, although it's unclear. And we're going to dig into that coming up next in the segment as well. But let's just let's keep going. Which is transferable to the right holder, for which a market price or value can be readily acquired. I think all of those things, the ICO can definitely transfer to a right holder. It definitely has a market price when it hits the secondary market in an exchange, and it can be readily acquired. Obviously, pre-ICO, I don't know whether it can be readily acquired. Damn hard these days to get some ICOs. And it can commonly be traded, which created by the issuer, raise capital from investors by selling instruments. Really interesting, right? Is Ethereum a security? I'm not sure. I don't know whether it has a bundle of rights. Is EOS a security? Again, I'm not sure if it has a bundle of rights. I guess it has a right to the security of the mainnet, potentially. I think a lot of ones, coins out there have that as well. Is it transferable by the right holder? Jeez, I don't know. Let's switch now and get more information on this and talk about. Let's go and listen to the SEC chairman himself, the man, on exactly what he has to say about this. So let's have a listen. So switching over, CNBC has interviewed the SEC chairman, and let's hear what he has to say.
There's a lot in that area. Let me start with the technology, distributed ledger technology. Incredible promise. It can drive efficiencies not only in the financial markets, but in a lot of markets. Fine. Two areas in the financial markets where distributed ledger technology has come to the fore. Cryptocurrencies. These are replacements for sovereign currencies, replace the dollar, the yen, the euro with Bitcoin. That type of currency is not a security.
Okay, so what he's saying is Bitcoin or digital currencies, things that are trying to replace the yen, the US dollar, Australian dollar, whatever, are not securities. Okay, that's cool. So when Ethereum or EOS or NEO are used to as a form of currency to raise up money, not a security potentially? Not sure. Let's see how he goes. What else has Jay got to say?
Let me turn to what's a security. A token, a digital asset where I give you my money and you go off and make a venture, You have some company you want to start or something you want, and in return for me giving you my money, you say, you know what, I'm going to give you a return. Or you can get a return in the secondary market by selling your token to somebody. That is a security, and we regulate that.
Okay, so the big man's asserting his dominance here. He's really loving his territory. He's really pissing on his area right now. Well, that's a security. That's my territory. Don't mess with me, right? He's been doing this for years. And he keeps on saying this anyway. So what he's saying is, if you put money into something and they promise a return, so they go and build some sort of venture and they promise a return, that is a security. And traditionally, in my books as well, I would say that is a security because it's like a novel dividend token. It's the representation of shares. And like we looked in the definition, I think that's fine. The question comes now, and it's not quite clear, about utility tokens. So are they promising a return? Is it more in kind? You know, there's some real question marks here, but I think it's all good. Sounds to me like he's talking about dividend tokens, and I'm pretty sure on that. I think it's really what Ravencoin, Tezos, all those kinds of coins, Polymath, are trying to really solve. And I think that's fantastic. I think that's where we need to go. It's why Coinbase is launching an SEC secure and regulated exchange, and I think it's going to crush it. I think it's even better. There was lots of speculation about them launching a Ripple ages ago, and that was just fluctuating the price. The thing about it was, back then, that was all there was to talk about. Now, if you got the first SEC compliant cryptocurrency exchange live, you're going to get everyone coming at you. Everyone. Because everyone's really worried about the man coming down on them, especially this guy right here. What else has the man got to say? Let's hear it out.
We regulate the offering of that security, and we regulate the trading of that security. And that's our job, and we've been doing it for a long time.
So you're saying the classic definition of a security, you invest in a common enterprise with an expectation of profit. You're saying the way you look at most ICOs, they are securities.
Correct.
Are you planning now to make a clear statement on that? Because there seems to be a lot of confusion about whether anybody is going to get approved or not.
Bob, I hope I just did. If it's a security, we're regulating it. And let me just, we've been doing this for a long time, and we've built a $19 trillion economy, a securities market that's the envy of the world, following these rules. If you have an ICO or a stock, and you want to sell it in a private placement, follow the private placement rules. There's no secondary trading. You know, you have to do that. If you want to do an IPO with a token, come see us. File financial statements, file disclosure, take the responsibility our laws require, and we're happy to help you do that public offering.
You seem to be saying that the SEC is not going to be changing the definition of a security just to suit the ICO community. Is that right?
I'm certainly not going to support that.
Okay. Let me move on. What about altcoins? We have discussed Bitcoin, but there are other altcoins out there.
The definition of a security, and I don't think he needs to. Right, so this is really key because, again, going back, if you want exposure, this is not financial advice, but if you want exposure to this market, Polymath, Ravencoin, Tezos, these are the kind of coins that are going to give you, sorry, T0, my apologies, I made a mistake there, not Tezos, T0. If you are going to want exposure to this security market, these are the kind of coins you want to look at because they're going to get access via the SEC to give you access to this kind of market that's coming up, where we're going to be able to trade equities, essentially, or companies, and that's going to be really interesting. I want to go back and just listen a little bit longer with this, Joel, because he makes a very good point, and he's going to talk about utility coins, about Ethereum. So we can just jump back here and have a listen.
There is Ether, for example. There is Ripple. Is Ether a security?
So, Bob, I'm not going to comment on specific crypto assets and whether they are a security or are not a security, but you captured the definition very well. Now, am I giving you my money for you to go off in a venture, or I'm relying on your efforts and the efforts of your colleagues?
But you understand, there are lawsuits, I'm sure you know, right now, for example, over Ripple, about whether it is or is not actually a security. That's partly one of the issues here, and obviously how the SEC feels is very important.
No, we are not going to do any violence to the traditional definition of a security, which has worked well for a long time, and I believe will continue to work well.
Is it possible the SEC might say these were securities at one time and no longer are because they're not centrally controlled, for example?
Look, that's a question that is out there, and will be answered in the specific facts and circumstances. But we've been doing this a long time, and there's no need to change our fundamental approach.
Let me move on. Bitcoin ETFs. A lot of people chomping out the bits. I've covered ETFs for a long time. A lot of issuers are waiting. What criteria do you need to start a Bitcoin ETF? We now have a fairly well-developed futures Bitcoin market.
Right, so what I'm hearing here is, I don't think he really knows. He's trying to still figure this stuff out, right? He's not sure whether or not, is Ethereum, is a Ripple exactly going to be classified as a security? It's not clear, right? I don't think he wants to answer it right now. And is he going to go back on his word? Well, that's a real mess, and he doesn't want to look like that. He doesn't want to have egg on his face. So he wants to hit this straight out of the park, right? The other thing that's going down with this is that a lot of prices are moving based on this. But my view is, I don't think it's going to take ages. He's just going to want to call a spade, and when it's a security, it's a security. He's going to call it. When it's not, it's not. And it's not clear yet. No one's been able to figure this stuff out yet. But the best thing is, most digital currencies, I would say, are not a security. But Coinbase is probably going to actually come out and launch an SEC compliant. T0 probably as well. There are all sorts of exchanges out there that I'm hearing on the street that are going to launch the SEC compliant securities exchange, SEC compliant exchanges. And essentially, my view is that's just all going to get launched before this even gets figured out. So we're probably not going to have to worry about it. So I just carry on. Everyone who's out there, carry on, carry forth. We'll find a way in order to deal with this. Guys, coming up next, I want to say we do have Holly Stevens that is going to come in, but I just want to run you guys through a couple of coins after that as well while she comes in. I want to throw now to an interview while we bring on Holly that we did with the Funfair CEO. It's a really interesting coin. I think it has dipped out potentially of the top 20, I'm not sure. It is a blockchain crypto casino in terms of making it very transparent. A lot of people are worried about when they're playing poker whether or not you're playing against a bot and it's not true. So what this blockchain whole situation is going to do with gambling is make that trustless and bring that out to the market. Now, guys, have a listen to this interview. It's really interesting. It's a different kind of cryptocurrency, and unfortunately, I'm not sure whether gambling coins have performed that well so far. Is it a security? I don't think it is, but it could be. Who knows? Let's find out. Have a listen to what he's got to say.
I'm Jez Zan. I'm one of the founders of Funfair, which is a gaming technology company based in London. Funfair has created technology that empowers casino operators to offer a fair game. So it's powered by the blockchain and smart contracts, and it's the first time that we've been able to build a casino gaming system, a platform that literally runs on the blockchain and doesn't require any servers. One of the problems we're solving is the trust problem, that many players don't want to trust leaving money in a casino or believe that they're going to be cheated. And even though the cases of people actually being cheated is very low, because there is a trust issue, the market is limited in its size by the number of people willing to participate in it. So we believe by creating technology that guarantees a fair game and also does it very efficiently so that casino operators have good margins, we believe that we can have an expanded market. We believe we can offer the player benefits, the operator benefits, even the regulators and the affiliates get something out of it.
And how does your technology do that?
So it does that. Firstly, we've built the games to run in smart contracts on the blockchain. And then we've also built a scaling technology that we call Fate channels. And that allows transactions to run really fast, which allows players to play games at the speed that is fun. Because right now, the blockchain is quite slow and can be overloaded at times. And that wouldn't be a fun experience for players if the games they played were slowed down by the blockchain. So we have technology that takes the games off chain, lets them run really fast, and then goes back to the chain to do settlement.
So what is your transaction rate?
We can do thousands of transactions a second, and it could scale much faster than that. And it does that by opening the transaction on the blockchain and bringing deposits onto the blockchain, and then it can play as many games as it wants off-chain, and then it goes back to the blockchain to settle. So there's really no limit to the number of transactions per second, and this is all running on today's Ethereum. We're not waiting for a future version. It runs today on our website, funfair.io.
Welcome back to the Daily Exchange. I've got my great friend here, Holly Stevens. How's it going?
Good, mate. How are you?
Good to see you.
I'm going to use this all the time.
Woo! All right, guys. We are talking about, just quickly before we get to Holly, Holly's got some really important stuff. We're going to get more women back into blockchain.
Yeah, we are.
It's all going to happen. We're going to talk about this in just a second. But before we get to that, I just want to talk about the top 5 coins. Joel, can you bring us to our screen for a second and how the market is going? Really interesting moves last night, quite positive. We had Bitcoin up to 7726, Ethereum 614, EOS slightly down, Bitcoin Cash up 2%, outperforming Bitcoin, Litecoin up 1.16%, and Ripple up 1.29%. So the market's looking relatively green from last night. I know that there were some pretty bearish candles before that, but it did have a nice swing up. Bitcoin obviously moving in a good direction. You can see we had a bit of a drop. And then we've brought back up. There was another big down candle here, but we seem to have come up quite nicely. Really interesting times, looking quite good. Now, let's get into my favorite section, which is today's moon coin. I think we've got a special guest, Holly.
Here I am.
Tommy Franklin himself, aka formerly on Australia's Got Talent, is going to be joining us for our moon coin. And my moon coin for today is... It's already been revealed, is the Binance coin. Now, the Binance coin I find is absolutely fascinating. And the reason for it is that you've got a utility coin, something that's being used to pay people's fees and give them a discount, right? And look at the price. Joel, if you could bring us up on our graph here, it's literally performing so well. Like it's just a beast. Like, have we got Tommy? Tommy needs to come in, Holly.
Come on, Tommy.
Tommy?
Tommy.
How do we call Tommy?
Who's Tommy?
Tommy. Tommy's not coming. I think Binance coin is a fantastic coin. It should be investigated. I'm not saying whether or not to buy it. This is not financial advice. But I do think if you look at the graph, it just seems like it's a beast runner. It just keeps on performing so well. Look how it's performing with Bitcoin. Here's Tommy himself. The moon coin.
The moon coin. Do you start singing Rocket Man or something? Rocket Man.
Moon coin, baby. Moon coin, baby. Tommy's got the moon coin for today. Binance coin.
Oh, there he
He's got the
goes.
special moves. All right. We'll keep Tommy in the back with his moon coin. We're going to move on now to a more crucial topic as well, while we've got Tommy here as well. But the most important thing right now, we've got Holly with us. Holly, just give us a quick introduction to yourself. Tell us about yourself.
About me. I hate doing this, but I'll do it for you. So, a bit about me. I'm Holly Stevens, if anyone doesn't know me. We're good friends. And so, yeah, I've been in tech, my entire career. And I kind of fell into tech because, well, I'd done a marketing degree and business degree. And I was like, I like technology, probably from a creative point of view, because I'm quite an arty, musical person, but also like the business side. So like fell into tech, didn't really know what I wanted to do, but then ended up having roles at Xerox as a product manager, and then worked at Google, helping small businesses with marketing. And then after that, started to run Android Pay for Google Australia. And then from this point, I kind of got into more technology and what was going on in the industry, and then just stumbled upon Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I was like, this is super cool. And then a guy that I was working with and still work with very closely and now a partner of mine, he, at one of our companies, he was like, Holly, like, let's put some money in, let's see what's going on here, let's just like dabble with it, see what happens. I was like, okay, like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I put a bid in, like, there's no risk there. So then started to see what was happening. I was like, okay, now I'm tracking, now I'm invested a little bit, there's not much risk, what's the worst that can happen? And then it just started to unfold, and then I'd be like looking at different articles and going on every single day for the first month of going on to where I've held my coins. I'm not going to say any. And then just found it like really exciting. I was like, it's going up and down. And also for me, I've always been very interested in the stock market, but you know, you can't invest there easily. So I was like, okay, this is an easy way to get in and start to explore it. And then I started to look at some more altcoins and how they work and what I'm finding interesting. And then, just started to do more reading and started to do more research. And then I started to look at what is blockchain, how can it be used in other industries, and how there's like different coins for like pretty much everything now. And then started to look at ICOs and upcoming ICOs as well. And so, I've just stumbled on it. And now it's to the point of every single day I'm looking at news articles on it, what's happening in the market, and seeing how blockchain can be applied in different ways. And I think that's the most interesting part, is it's not all about, trading, getting quick wins. It's about what can blockchain actually do? Like, how are we helping the unbanked? Like, which is a huge part of it. How can we have all of our health records on the blockchain? Like, that's what's exciting.
I want to pick up on now, so Holly has written an incredible LinkedIn post. Joel, if we can bring it up.
I'm a big fan of LinkedIn, by the way.
I love LinkedIn. I'm a little bit in love with LinkedIn. I'm not so much in love with Facebook.
I agree.
I find
Not
it,
a fan.
I find it like a little bit like, I don't know.
I've kind of changed, but anyway, LinkedIn.
Let's talk about Holly. 5% of all cryptocurrency users are women, and only 1.76% of the entire Bitcoin community are women. Wow.
I know, big stats.
Lots of
small
boys
stats.
hanging around, talking.
I know.
I want to talk about something.
There's some great names on there as well for people to research for women in blockchain.
Incredible.
There's some pretty big
What I
ones
want to ask, but I think, let's break this down. I want to step into this a bit because, firstly, awesome work. You are an absolute unicorn. You're the rare one that's taken that step, gone in and invested. You're absolutely incredible.
Well, it's about more. I don't see myself as incredible. I think it's more.
But what I wanted to say was, with that, what is it that allowed you to do that, and what are the things that we can share and ask other people to share? Like, what went through your mind, and how did you work through that? And how did you do that?
Yeah. So, the steps I would say for anyone to make is there's a big knowledge gap, and also this industry. Yes, you've got experts that have been in this for years. Like, even I was speaking to someone the other day. They've been doing this since like 1996. Like, this isn't new to them. But for most people in the industry at the moment, and all the events, it's probably like a year that this has really been going. Like, I was saying to my team the other day that actually, should we do things in Europe and China at the moment, because it's going to become school holidays in Europe, but we don't know if it's going to affect it or not. So anyway, back to the point. I think there's a huge knowledge gap there, like for people to get into blockchain and understand how it can be used and the difference between Bitcoin and altcoins. So just start to research. Like, there's so much out there. There's different news sites that I look at, like Cointelegraph. There's a really good email newsletter that I get pretty much every day called Token Daily, and they give you quick tips on what's going on in the market, and you can also see like just like what's an oracle, like it's really like questions that you want to know about.
What's an oracle? Let's talk about that tomorrow. Joel, put us on for what's an oracle tomorrow. What's an oracle? I love that question.
Yeah, what is an oracle?
What is an oracle?
So I think for people actually to get, whether they're women or men, just start to improve that knowledge. I was just going through YouTube videos. That's where I digest content anyway. So rather than those people reading through white papers, my way is through YouTube and looking at videos.
Who are some people you like to read and follow on YouTube?
Oh, YouTube. Oh, there's so many.
So many.
At the moment, so even though...
What are you researching right now? Tell us how you go about it. Do you go in and type some keywords or... Right.
So, Cointelegraph, like I get that pop up every single day.
Right.
I then, Token Daily is one that I mentioned. The other areas which I never really explored before when I've been researching, but Reddit is huge.
Yeah.
So I get a feed of that, an RSS feed on my Slack every single day for all the news that's coming up.
Wow.
Having a good tech team that can like plug all this into Slack definitely helps.
Okay.
So you get like a feed of what's happening.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I did was went along to an event, met with other people in this industry, asked them questions. It's okay to not know much. Just go in, embrace it, and just listen to whoever is on that panel. There's some amazing people out there that are doing incredible work. So start to learn from them, ask them questions, be with people like your peers that are also learning at the same time, share things together. I know that I've got a really good friend in San Francisco. She's very much in the San Francisco. She's called Tegan Klein. She's working for another. She's also tagged on that post. And we always share resources. And I think it's about kind of helping each other. It's a small community. Everyone, well not everyone, but like people that are doing exciting things in blockchain and crypto, they tend to know each other. It's like I know you, I know like other people in our circles that are invested in different kind of blockchain and technologies. So it's around being around these people as well. So I say like get your knowledge up, go to events, just do some reading. Yeah.
Awesome. And there's a lot of reading to do, like, and digesting it down. It takes it's almost like you do a whole university degree in like 3 months.
I also didn't know what a white paper was.
A white paper, yeah.
I was like, what?
And a yellow paper.
I was like, what is all of this? Why am I reading so much? Yeah.
What is a white paper? Terminology of the day, Joel. Number 2 there. I like that one as well.
I wonder
We've
what
got
other
today's terminology was what is a security?
Okay. So then, have you covered utility yet?
What is a utility?
Okay.
That's good. I like that as well. We had an IIO yesterday, an initial item offering.
Okay.
Yeah, for gaming.
Do you think ICOs, the definition is going to exist in the next year?
An initial coin offering? Yeah, I think so. You've got an STO, a security token offering. That might be another one as well. It depends on if there's. I think normally the first word does stick.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to take a while. I think Bitcoin had another name before it for a while there, but I do think ICOs will probably stay around for quite a while. But I want to come back to something really important, Holly. So that's how you learn about it. How did you make the first investment? Tell us about that, because that's a big deal, right? And I'm just going to put it out there, but I've been reading some stats and we've been doing some work with our PR crew at Finder, and again, share trading tends to be quite skewed towards males, and it's something about risk or something. Tell us about this. Like, how did you just like? You must be a risk taker, Holly. You must be.
I don't know.
Tell us.
I am a little bit. I suppose I've got more risky as it's gone on. I think especially.
And how did you overcome that feeling? You know, like that fear. How did you do it? I love everyone out there to share how to do that.
So I'll talk it more of like an entrepreneur point of view, which is kind of embedded in me, rather than a person who's a trader. And kind of the risk with me, it's around how I do things in really small steps, and I have to learn everything. I have to learn the basics first. I can't just go, okay, let me just go all in and then invest. It's the same with like any business venture I would do. It's okay, let me just look at this industry a little bit more, do my research. And so when I was kind of looking through it, I also had a really good mentor. So again, back to being an entrepreneur, it's like I had a really good mentor. I improved that knowledge gap. I started to do a lot more research on the area. And then that was like a course of 3 months before I put anything in. Okay. So it was kind of like a long period for me. And after that point, I then had...
And what were some of the questions in that moment? So what were some of the...
What's Bitcoin? What's Ethereum? What's Litecoin? What's a fork? There's another one.
What's a fork? Holy fork.
I'll try and think some more as I'm doing this. So some of those, some of those have kind of come from Bitcoin. And then just started then what is an altcoin and how do they work?
So what about did you worry about some questions around security and trust and?
No, for me it was okay, so this is an unknown area at the moment, and there's so many questions that keep coming up. I will put in a small amount of money and see what happens. You've got you're reducing that risk then. So that's what I did, and that's what I say to all my friends who are now asking me, what is blockchain? What should I invest in next? It's kind of okay, so just do some research and then maybe go for some of the other coins that people are talking about. and then see what happens. And just at least you're like a little bit invested now, and then you'll do your research and you'll understand it a little bit more. Whereas if you're on the kind of the back burner of it and you're like, oh, no, I don't want to go near this, you're not going to be invested in it. So I just put a bid in. And my stepdad, who I listened to him for everything, he was like, what are you doing? Why would you do this? Why did you put in money? I was like, oh, I'm going to put a bid in. So what's the worst that can happen? So, yeah.
So it's not making a mistake, being comfortable with that, and just, you know. So how much would you say? What's a little amount?
Oh, it's hard to say, isn't it?
$200?
Yeah, just put a bid in.
Yeah.
What are you willing to lose? If it completely crashed and like that isn't your life savings, I would say, like, what's the money you'd spend on a Saturday night? Just put that in, see what happens.
Okay.
Or what would you spend on a handbag for a girl? I actually made that decision. I was in New York.
Handbag investment.
I was about
crypto handbag investments.
I was in New York. I was about to buy a handbag and thought, let's put this on some coins instead. Big decisions for girls.
I like that.
Yeah.
The handbag investment. I guess it's the same with a guy, you know, buying a new car or buying a pair of shoes or a new suit or whatever it may be, right? Or that jacket. That jacket, what could that be? That could be a lot of Bitcoin.
In a year.
So you put some money in, you put a small amount in, and you did all your research, and then now one of the big things that, you know, a lot of people are challenged by is when the coins are moving all over the place and the prices are up and down. That's pretty intense, right? How do you deal with that?
So for the first two, so this was around December time when it was going, and you and I were talking at this point, and we're like, oh my God, it's going up, it's going up, it's going up, it's going to crash. And everyone was like, oh, what's going to happen? I was like, it's fine. Nothing's going to crash. Everything's fine. And then January happened. It was like, boom, straight down. Yeah. And I think we're going to get that. Yeah. But the thing to remember is when these coins are going up and down all the time is that actually it's probably more stable than most currencies in the world. So, you know, what's the worst that's going to happen? Again, you've put a small amount in, and I'm not very much a risk taker. So, and also this is part of me is like, don't just look at Bitcoin, because there are other coins. Like Bitcoin is still quite slow, the transaction time. Whereas a lot of people now using Ethereum and some of the other altcoins as well. Actually, when you mentioned Binance, that one popped up on a newsletter I was looking at the other day. I was like, interesting, Binance. So it's not a concern for me. And also, I've got very little invested in it. I'm not going to lose a huge amount of money. But yeah, I think keep an eye on it. See, as I said, like the first couple of months, I was logging on every single day. I was checking what's going on with it. Shall I trade it? What should I do? I'm just going to hodl those coins. Another one. What's hodl?
Okay, I want to shout out to some of these key women in cryptocurrency or blockchain. Do you want to just give us a quick background on some of these guys? So we've got Freya.
So she works for a company called Beam Wallet.
Cool.
Yeah. Based in Sydney. They are across 3 different continents as well.
Okay.
So
what's Beam Wallet?
Beam Wallet is...
You're working with Beam Wallet.
I'm
Full disclosure.
Yeah.
Tell us about it quickly.
They're cool. So mobile payments wallet, and they're doing a lot of stuff in the future with
mobile payments.
So yeah, and also like a lot with retail. So it's going to be changing the way that people would ever have thought the whole retail system was done. That's a very brief background. There'll be more coming. Tony Lane is a massive legend. She is one of the women that I met when I was moderating a panel at Token Fest in San Francisco this year. Founder of Cointelegraph and now Culture as well. So she's one to watch, huge personality, amazing woman. Tegan Klein, she works at IPWE, good friend of mine in San Francisco, again, pretty well known in the blockchain scene, and goes to a lot of meetups in San Francisco as well.
Cool.
Uma Apix is her company. It's all around social media and getting earned for what you do on social media. Kelsey Navian, we used to work together, and I've got a strong place in my heart for Kelsey. I love her. You also know her too.
I know Kelsey really well. Shout out to you, Kelsey.
Shout out to you, Kels. Now based in Bangkok. She used to work for Kanya and now works for Omi's Go.
That's OMG, right? That's the coin.
Yeah.
Cool.
Rachel.
From Sydney all the way direct to OMG. That's really cool.
There she is. She's flying the flag. Rachel works for Forbes. She does a lot of writing for Forbes. I was actually, when I was in San Francisco, randomly was listening to Bad Crypto, a podcast, and she was on there, and then I bumped into her the next day, and I was like, oh my God, I've heard about you. Fantastic. Katrina, we met in Melbourne, and that was at a fintech conference, sat next to each other at dinner, and she's a fan of Civic Ledger, and she is powering through.
Civic Ledger, is that CVC? Or is that different?
I think that's different.
Different.
I'll check.
Right.
So Katrina is also doing heaps of meetups in Brisbane. So anyone's interested in Brisbane in blockchain should be going along to whatever
Awesome.
Katrina is doing.
Joel, do you want to put the post, Holly's post, in the chat for everyone to have a look at, and obviously like and comment and
Please
share
add
it out
me
there.
on LinkedIn as well. I like talking to everyone on there.
Add Holly, she is cool. She's
am I
really
saying?
cool. Holly is cool.
I'm saying it.
There it is.
Yeah.
Leah.
We've connected a few times on LinkedIn Messenger.
At Intimate. I think I've met Leah. I met her in New York at Consensus.
Yeah, she's a legend.
Cool.
All of these women are. Oksana, also working at Beam Wallet, knows everything about ICO listings, growth in blockchain.
Cool.
She's incredible. And I've also called out some of the male champions of the blockchain world who, Rob Morris, he's probably the person that kind of is my mentor in this area.
Super cool.
One of the
Rob's
best
amazing.
people. Amazing.
Shout out to you, Rob.
He has a company called Prismatic, and they do some pretty exciting stuff with blockchain. Michael, he is advising a number of crypto companies at the moment. Also, very good person. You're on there, Fred. You're on there.
This guy's pretty cool.
He's all right. He's all right. Fred is a legend.
I didn't even say it myself.
He's done so much work in the crypto space as well. He's developing
We had
a company.
V at the office last night because we hosted, Finder here hosted Women Who Code. And
I couldn't come to this. I had a
we missed you.
meeting. I know. I'm really
and they were
sorry.
coding Solidity contracts, and V was here, and he's super cool. And thank you, shout out to everyone who came along to Women in Code and coded Solidity contracts last night. Did some amazing work, awesome stuff.
And
Michael?
Mike, he's just a huge male champion. Like, he helps so many women with either startups or recommendations. He's like a super connector. Big love to Mike. He's great too. Yeah.
Awesome.
And there's so many people that have commented, like, all of the women that I'd like listed below here, you're fascinating.
I don't know how I haven't liked
How have
it.
you not liked this?
Wow, I think I wrote something on there.
Also, this Bonnie lady here,
Bonnie's amazing.
she reached out to me and was like, hey, like, it's amazing what you're doing. Big up, Bonnie.
Pretty sure Bonnie as well has been on David Jackson, some of your panels in Crypto Sydney, and the Icon events. She has hosted those as well, so really cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to bring this to a close, the Daily Exchange, unless there were some questions. We did have one. I think we had one. I think Joel was going to spring something on me here.
Oh.
That's not it.
That's just to take me off the screen, and well, actually, you know, Holly and myself. But I think we had a question from the audience. I do believe that I didn't get to last time, and it was something to do with this. Lots of exchanges have been moving to Malta recently. What should I consider when looking at where an exchange is based? Wow. Now, there's a killer question.
Big question. I've seen a lot of movement in Malta at the moment.
A lot of movement. So I think Binance is the big one that's been moving to Malta. I'm not as concerned about where geographically exchanges are listed. Obviously, they need to be in somewhere safe and secure. My big issue right now is how safe they are. Now, a lot of people have been having challenges, and I'm not going to call out the ones they've been having challenges with, but I want to call out one in particular with Binance. When we've reviewed Binance on Finder, and there's one thing in particular I want to call out. If you remember, when Binance got hacked, they paid out all the coins in like a week's time, right? So imagine you've suddenly just lost your coins, and now you've got them all back. That's incredible, right? So that says to me that you've got a lot of trust and security in that exchange. Now Binance is moving to Malta probably to protect again users. The only thing I do want to call out right now is you should watch out for ones where there are still exit scams out there. There are still ones which don't have any support, and people have been still waiting for months and months to get their coins into wallets. I feel bad about potentially listing those out, but we can, if anyone has experiences, maybe you can talk about that in the chat. I don't want to officially say which ones are and aren't working. But there are some scary ones out there. Do read the reviews on Finder. Do check them out before you go through and actually apply, because you don't want to lose your coins. I know a lot of exchanges are obviously moving to different jurisdictions, but some are just staying where they are, right? Bittrex is still in the US, and they're going to bring on US dollar fiat, and there's a lot of great exchanges launching in Australia as well, which is really cool. And there are a lot of different exchanges launching all around the world. Now, were there any other questions, Joel, or are we going to have to bring this to a close? Holly, do you have do you have a question for me? We don't want it. Holly doesn't want to go.
I don't want to go now. Gotta go back to work.
Oh.
Got a meeting.
Okay. We do have one question.
Oh.
And we've got to record something out. But guys, subscribe, follow us, join in, and do follow us every day. We broadcast each day. You will see us tweet it out. You can follow me on LinkedIn. Follow Holly. She's amazing. So the question is, what are your thoughts on the What Would Satoshi Say survey? I think it offers a unique view on the landscape of crypto as a whole. What would Satoshi say? Have you seen the answers to what would Satoshi say? What would Satoshi say? What do you think Satoshi would sound like, Holly? What do you reckon kind of
Woman?
guy?
Who is Satoshi? Who do you think it is, Fred?
What would Satoshi say? A decade?
There's another question for tomorrow.
Who is Satoshi? Is that a terminology?
Who is Satoshi?
Yeah.
Satoshi's female. It's on loads of t-shirts when he goes to events.
Yeah.
She could be female.
Apparently it's been said that Satoshi, her coding style was very detailed and anyway, so let's have a look. What does the form say? It only takes 10 minutes to be part of the groundbreaking. I am not sure exactly what it says, and I haven't seen this before. This is incredible. What would Satoshi say 2 weeks later? Okay, so we've got developers and holders of Speak of Satoshi. Okay, original post below. Wow. And what are they saying? Hundreds of crypto influencers, developers, and holders speak for Satoshi. What would Satoshi say? Survey speculates how Satoshi may respond to crypto challenges. This is the first time in history we have control. Is government regulation a good thing for crypto? Answer, crypto communities will regulate governments. That's really aggressive. I can hear that. What top characteristics should legitimate exchanges look for in altcoins? Product quality, development activity, decentralization, size of community, trading volume, quality of community discourse? I'm assuming that's Discord. Quality of marketing, size of ICO is really low. Centralization, people don't want centralization.
Yeah, but what do you think about this? So do you think there needs to be a balance between centralization and decentralization? And how do you balance that? It's one of the big
I think some things work centralized. They just do. Like Google's pretty centralized, and all the information is stored there and all our data. I think Apple's pretty centralized. All our information and data seem to be, and this is controversial, and a lot of companies do this well. There are some companies which have had challenges, like Facebook. I think it comes back to the leaders and their ethics and their morals, really. And that's the long-term stability of a company when it becomes that big and that centralized. There are centralized parts that don't work at all.
Yeah.
And this is something I want to get to and talk about coming in the next few weeks is the macro economy of the Federal Reserve and how that, and quantitative easing, essentially. Quantitative easing is spicy. Well, that's terminology. Quantitative easing, Joel. Put us in for that as well. Quantitative easing, QE.
QE.
I think quantitative easing and centralized governments, I think we're going to have to talk about that coming in the next session. And essentially, I do think some things can be centralized, but I think money not being centralized could be a good thing. And I think that's what we're talking about here,
You need
right?
balance, don't you?
Yeah. I think we've had some challenges, and I think we're about to potentially in the next, it could be 3 years, or maybe in the next 2 years. It tends to be in 7 and 9 year cycles, but there could be a real issue. The bond market, interest rates and all those kind of things, super unstable, and that's how they keep money at the certain prices they are. I think that centralization, major issue. And I think going into cryptocurrency at its core is a good hedge.
There you go.
There it is. You
There
heard
we go.
it.
He's done it again.
All right,
I'm going
guys.
to take this with me.
Yeah. Holly, you can come on. You can come on the show again because you like the bell.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We're going to bring this to a close. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, subscribe, jump on in, follow Holly Stevens. We'll send it out on the post. Thanks so much for joining us, Holly.
Thank you.
You're wonderful.
Loved it.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you soon. Thanks very much for joining us on the Daily Exchange.